Hey everyone, welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. My name is Danielle Perry and I'm the host. And as always, I want to thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. If you're new, this is a podcast where I interview people of all ages and they share a bit of their story about how God has helped them to overcome a difficult challenge or situation in their lives, or maybe they're on their way to overcoming with God's help. Well, today, y'all, I'm excited because you're going to hear from a wise woman today. And she's none other than Mrs. Deborah Blanding. And the title of today's episode is Being a Wife and Mother in a Blended Family. She's going to walk you through just some of the things that she's experienced from her younger years up until now, y'all. And even if you're not in a blended family, if you're a wife, if you're a mother, you're definitely going to be encouraged. You're going to be blessed. You're going to maybe learn some things. So take notes, okay? So without further ado, y'all, here it is, episode 14. Enjoy and be blessed. And this is Deborah Blanding.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes. So I have you on today to talk about what it's like being in a blended family, kind of going from your younger years up until now.
Yes.
And so I'm very excited about what you will share today because I know it will bless people.
Okay.
So before we hop into the questions, I want you to go ahead and just share a little bit about who you are.
Okay, my name is Deborah Blanding. I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. I'm the oldest of four, a retired school secretary, and enjoying my retired life.
I know that's right. Yes. And how long have you been retired?
6 years now.
6 years? Okay. Awesome. Well, I want to start out by asking you, how long have you been married?
It will be 45 years, September the 2nd.
Wow.
Yes. Longer than you've been on the planet.
You're right. Well, happy early anniversary.
Thank you.
And I know you shared with me before we started this interview that you will be celebrating in Cancun.
Yes, in October, yes.
Yes, so that is awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. 45 years, what a blessing.
Yes.
What a blessing. So we're going to go back down memory lane.
Okay.
And again, we're talking about just your experiences with being in a blended family as a wife and as a mother. So I want you to tell us, how old were you when you got married, and talk to us about your excitement and your emotions at that point.
Okay, I got married at 24. I met my husband at 23.
Okay.
We dated for about a year. Then we
Okay.
got married. Very excited. At that time, when my husband came into my life, I didn't realize that I was being pursued by the Lord.
Okay.
But I started getting bored with things, the going out, the partying scene. I was just bored. So when he came into my life, it was like a breath of fresh air. So, we just hit it off. We hung out and we just had a good time, enjoying each other.
Yeah.
And we decided, yes, it's time. We're going to get married.
It's time.
Yeah,
It's
so
time.
that's what we did.
So you said that you didn't realize that the Lord was pursuing you. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, because 5 months into our marriage, we both got saved. And at the time, the Lord showed us two worlds in one night.
Okay.
My husband, friend on his job, had a party, and we were invited to that party. My girlfriend had gotten saved and invited us to a fellowship all the same night. So we went to the party, and when we got to the party was dark, smoky, and it was like we were very uncomfortable. But that's what we did. We partied in dark places, smoky places. But this particular night, it just felt different. So my husband said, you know what, let's leave here and go to your friend's fellowship.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And we left, and we went to my friend's fellowship. Well, when we got there, the lights were on, children were there. They were playing games, eating, just having fun. And it was like, wow, this was different. I see kids. And that next day, which was Sunday, because that was a Saturday night, which was Sunday, the speaker from the Bible study was speaking at this church on Bush Street. So they were invited us, so we went, and it was raining. So my husband dropped me off in front of the building. It was a small little building.
Okay.
That's what's so ironic about the story. It was a small little building. And so he dropped me off first, and it was crowded. So I went in, found the seat. So when he came in, he couldn't find me.
Okay.
So he had to sit somewhere else, sit somewhere else. And he said he looked for me, so I'm kind of wondering, did he come in or and didn't see him. So anyway, the word of God came forth, and the pastor at that time, he was saying, your life may be full, you may not be going through any trauma or any bad times, your life may be good at this time, but you still need Jesus. And that word just really pricked me, because 5 months into a marriage, I'm very blissful, we're still honeymooning, everything is good. But at that moment, I realized I need Jesus in my life. And I went up to give my life to the Lord. And Robert did the same. So we didn't even see each other till we both were at the altar.
Wow.
So, that was such a divine moment.
Absolutely.
It was, and we laugh about it to this day. It's like, the church was so small, how we didn't see each other. How did we miss each other?
Yeah.
And then we find each other at the altar.
Wow.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you're a blended family. Mr. Blanding had how many children?
He had 2 daughters.
He had 2 daughters. And how old were they?
At that time when we met, they were like 4 and 5.
4 and 5. Okay. So 2 daughters, 4 and 5. Now, were they living with you when
No,
you
not
married?
at that time.
Not at the time.
Not at that time.
Okay. So did you have any children?
Yes, I had a son.
You had a son. And how old was he?
He was 6 at the time.
He was 6. Wow. 6,
Yeah,
5, 4.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So your son was living with you and Mr. Blanding?
Yes.
Okay. But the daughters weren't yet?
No.
Okay. So you shared that story about you and your husband being saved at the altar. You're together now for 5 months. You have your son with you.
We had been married for 5 months when we got saved. So
married for 5
right.
months, right? Okay. So, at what point, I guess I want to ask, did Mr. Blanding's daughters come and live with you guys?
They didn't come to live with us until 3 years later.
3 years
but
later.
we got them on the weekends.
Okay.
So yes, they spent the weekends with us.
Gotcha.
But they didn't permanently live with us until 3 years into the marriage.
3 years into the marriage. Okay. So before we hop into that aspect of it, I want you to first share, what were some of your challenges? Because I know a bit of your story, just a little bit outside of this interview, but what were some of the challenges that you faced early on as a wife?
As a wife, getting to know my husband, realizing how different we were. So that was a rude awakening for me. And just trying to settle into, what is being a wife? What is my role? I came from like, no, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Right.
And, I'm my own boss. And, but the word said differently. So those things I had to adjust to.
Yeah.
So that was an adjustment to me early on in my marriage.
Absolutely.
And once the girls came, my life got very serious. Very serious.
Okay. So, I want you to, the motorcycle story. Was that early in marriage?
That was after I had my daughter.
After you had your daughter?
That was 2.5 years into the marriage.
2.5 years. Okay, so we're going to come back to that.
Okay.
But first, I want you to share, now Mr. Blanding's daughters are part of your family. How were you? Were you in a mode of, this will be great? Or were you actually kind of like,
apprehensive? Very apprehensive.
Okay.
Because it's like, how is this going to work? The weekend is one thing, because you have Friday, Sunday they go back.
Right.
But then permanently was a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
And then my son used to be an only child. So, there was an adjustment. Then with the girls, missing their mom. So it was a mixture of emotions from all of us. And I'm glad the Lord came into my life 5 months after I got married.
I know that's right.
If it had not been.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, were you working at the time?
I stopped working after I had my daughter.
Okay.
I was working before I had my daughter.
And you had your daughter
2.5 years into the marriage.
2.5 years into the marriage, and at this time you already had your 3 children at home.
No,
Not yet.
because the girls didn't come until my daughter was like About a year and a half.
Okay. Okay.
About
So
a
your
year and
daughter
a
was a
half.
year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I remember in a prior conversation you said that I think your son was maybe having a difficult time adjusting to your
Yes.
newborn daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
talk about that a little
Yes.
bit.
He was an only child. So he had been an only child. All the attention was given to him.
Yeah.
He was spoiled. You know, he had a godmother and a godparent that just spoiled him to no end. Bad mistake. And I allowed it.
Yeah.
You know, not knowing. So when I got saved, his life turned upside down because I was pulling things from him that he was used to. That I realized, no, this is not good.
Yeah.
So he was angry about that. So, you know, he looked at, okay, because you got married, now my life has changed. Before he came, we were good. So, you know, he dealt with that frame of mind.
Absolutely.
So, and then when the girls came, share. Now I have to share, you know. So these were things he wasn't used to. And, you know, it caused conflict. It did.
Not to mention he's the only boy.
Oh, he was the only boy. Yes, yes, yes.
And he's the oldest.
And he's the oldest.
He's the oldest. Okay. So at what point did you and Mr. Blanding introduce your children to Christ?
Oh, as soon as we got saved.
As soon as you got
As soon as we
saved.
got saved, you know, the girls coming over the weekend, we let them know things were going to change. Our lives was in the Lord, and we was going to do things God's way. And so, as soon as we started learning, we taught them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you're a stay-at-home mom now. Talk about that. Was that a decision that you knew you wanted to make, or was it kind of like, I don't really want to be a stay-at-home mom, but this is going to work best for the family?
Once I had my daughter, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
I didn't want to leave her with anyone.
Okay.
So that's when we decided, you know, no, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
So that again was before the girls came.
Before the girls came, right? Okay. So now having all 4 children, right, and being a stay-at-home mom, just talk about that a little bit, as much as you can remember.
Right.
Just what was that like?
It was busy. You know, it was a busy time. You know, I would get them up in the morning, get ready for school. We had Bible study every morning before they went to school.
Okay.
We put 15 minutes into our day, in our morning. So, you know, that routine of getting everybody together, everyone know, okay, you have to be on this sofa at so-and-so time, you know, before I take them to school. And, you know, breakfast was served. You know, it was just a lot.
Okay.
It was just a lot.
So you had a full day.
I had a
pretty
full
much.
day.
Full day.
I had a full day.
Now,
Plus a toddler at home
plus
once I
a
dropped
toddler.
them.
Right, once you dropped them off at school. So what was rest like for you, if you remember?
There was no rest that I can remember.
Yeah.
Other than when Rob and I would go out, because we made it. You know, we definitely made that time for one another.
Okay.
So we never stopped dating. So we would always find that time, that me time, the two of us. So, you know, whether it's a babysitter or once the kids got older, they started watching themselves.
Yeah.
But we would just find that time to get out. Even if we were just in the driveway discussing an issue that we couldn't discuss in the house. So, that, you know, that's what we did.
Okay. Now, I guess rewind a little bit, because the motorcycle story was, you said 2.5 years into the marriage. So I want you to share that story with us.
Right. Well, I had my daughter. I guess she was about 5 months at the time. And my husband bought a motorcycle. So I'm like, why are you buying a motorcycle? Because you're the only one that can get on this motorcycle. And he wanted to have fun, you know. He wanted, and my car was down at the time.
Okay.
So, but he wanted me to enjoy the motorcycle with him, which I did not want to do, which I totally rebelled. And it's like, no, I'm not getting on that. I'm not going to make him happy by getting on this motorcycle. And the Lord told me to get on the motorcycle.
Get on a motorcycle.
And I'm like, well, I didn't believe it was the Lord. I'm like, oh, I'm not getting on that motorcycle. But the Lord spoke to me and told me to get on the motorcycle. So I rode on a motorcycle with him. He was thrilled. He was so happy, you know, that I shared this part of his life with him. And I didn't realize how much that meant to him, because I was in myself like, okay, I'm upset because you got this motorcycle. How can I be happy for you and I'm upset?
Exactly.
So, you know, just going through that friction, you know. And once I rode that motorcycle, it satisfied him 2-3 weeks later, he sold it and been buying me cars ever since. So that's how that went. Yes.
That's what it means to be obedient, because you never know.
That was my
right?
first experience of listening to the Lord
Yeah.
and being obedient, going against everything that I believe and everything I wanted to feel. You know, the Lord would not let me rest in that. So that started my growth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
spiritually, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So talk about some of the challenges that you faced raising your children.
Oh, so many. We don't have. Okay. You know, like I said earlier, you know, with my son, you know, just really to settle him, to let him know everything was going to be okay. Even though this change has come in our lives, it's a change for the best. And of course, he didn't see it that way. Then dealing with the girls, especially the youngest one, because she missed her mom. You know, she was young. She missed her mom. Just trying to incorporate that, run a household. Okay, the girls weren't used to a lot of structure.
Okay.
So during that time, I had to bring structure into our lives because there was too many of us.
Yeah.
So we had to have some type of structure for things to run smoothly. You know, I'm a planner, so I want things to run smoothly. So in order to do that, I had to bring about structure. So my son, again, he was used to, I didn't need that much structure with him because it was just, you know, the three of us. But, you know, times, bathroom times, bed times, homework, you know, just a lot of things that it just came into play that I had to bring structure into our lives. So that was an adjustment for everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, despite the challenges, what were some of the things that you enjoyed early on with raising your children and in marriage?
Oh, our family time, you know, we found fun things to do. During that time, they had gospel skate on Mondays. So every Monday, you know, the kids look forward to that. We would do that. You know, family outings, King's Dominion, Hershey, you know, just fun things that we found for the kids. There was a time when there wasn't a whole lot of money during the week, and I sent away and I got from the Bureau of Parks and Recreations, and I received a list of all the playgrounds.
Okay.
So after the girls and I would finish cleaning up the kitchen, we would go to a different playground every evening. So, you know, and get ice cream. So just little things like that we did as a family. We always ate as a family. So those type of things that I enjoyed.
Was it difficult to not be caught up in the mundaneness of it all? You know what I mean? And did you have to, at times, you and Mr. Blanding just find creative things to do as a family? You said that list of playgrounds. That was pretty creative, you know?
Yes.
But was it challenging, though?
Yes, it was. Because, again, money was tight.
Yeah.
So we had to find inexpensive things to do. You know, museums were free, you know, so things like that. You know, we would go to D.C. because of the zoo, you know, was free.
Right.
And, you know, just inexpensive things like that. Pack our lunch, you know, eat on the grass. So just things like that we had to find to do just to break the monotony of the everyday, just to try to find some fun things for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, how long were you a stay-at-home mom?
For 16 years.
16 years. Wow. Wow. 16 years. So being a stay-at-home mom, I know that you kind of shared some of the challenges with that. But talk about how it benefited your children.
It did. Again, they just had that, their lives were stable. So, you know, they knew I was there. They knew I was picking them up. They knew their meals would be ready. They, you know, they knew their clothes were clean. You know, just certain things they didn't have to think about because I was there. In the school, I did a lot of volunteering in the school. So I was always present there.
Okay.
So, you know, like a safe place for them. They, you know, just knew that, okay, she'll pop up any moment. So my youngest son would have a fit because he's like, every time I turn around, you're at the door. And this was middle school.
Okay.
And he would say, every time I turn around, because I was working then, and I would go on my lunch break to check on him. And he would say, every time I look up, you're at the door. And I'm like, you never know when I'm going to pop up. So, you know, just kept them in check because they never knew when I was going to pop up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those kind of boundaries was set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while raising while raising your children, did you have anything, as a stay-at-home mom, did you have anybody in your community, in your family that
Oh
were
yeah, my
helping you?
family was very instrumental in helping with my kids, and I was involved with a group of with a Bible study group.
Okay.
And all of us were young moms raising our kids together, so we all were mentors to one another. We all helped one another through hard times, whether it was babysitting or, you know, you needed to talk. So yeah, I had a village around me.
Absolutely. Now, as far as I just thought of this question, Mr. Blanding's working hours, was he gone a lot throughout the day?
Most of the day.
Most of the day.
Because he worked a lot of overtime. A lot of overtime. So he would leave out maybe 5 in the morning. He may not get back to 6 or 7 that evening. So
wow.
he was gone the majority of the day.
Wow.
6 days a week, pretty much.
6 days a week.
Yes, yes.
So talk to us about just maybe some of those moments where you were just tired when you got home.
Yes.
I need you to do something with these kids because I've been with them all day.
I had to learn not to greet him at the door with the list. Because that was nerve-wracking to him, but, you know, it was like, okay, to the kid, I can't wait till your father get in, you know, I'm going to let him know this. So those were things that I had to learn. I had to learn when to talk and tell him about what was going on. So it was, like, I grew up during those years. I grew up with the kids. You know, it was so much that I had to learn about me, you know, in all that transition. It was really about me. I had to learn about me and being selfish, letting that go, and, you know, just being more understanding because I became very strict. You know, because like I said, I was a planner. I want everything to run like clockwork.
Right.
And life just doesn't work that way. So that was frustrating to me. And I had to learn to kind of ease up so I wouldn't be so frustrated to get through all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Did you have a good relationship with Mr. Blanding's children's mom?
Yeah, she was very appreciative.
Okay.
Because she was going through a very hard time in her life, so she was very appreciative of me taking her daughters in.
Okay. Yeah. That's always great.
No baby mama drama.
No baby mama drama.
No
Absolutely.
baby mama drama.
I know that's right. That's really a blessing.
Yes, it was. The
That's
Lord.
really a
I just saw the Lord in the whole situation.
Yeah.
I just saw the Lord was in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, was there a specific age range with any of your children where things became really challenging?
The teen years.
The teen years.
Preteen and teen years.
Okay.
Very difficult. Again, with my son, because he was still rebellious. You know, he was still trying to go his way. You know, he was still not trying to abide by the rules. You know, so it was difficult with him. With my oldest daughter, she was ready for a boyfriend. So that was a difficult time for us. She was 16, very mature. And again, we had to deal with that whole situation totally different because she had an out. She would go to her mother's on the weekend.
Right.
That's where the boyfriend lived.
Okay.
So we had to deal with that differently. Okay, Lord, how we deal with this? And then, you know, my husband met the boyfriend and talked to him and let him know what our expectations of her was because she was very bright, very smart. You know, we saw college in her future and we didn't want anything to mess that up. So it did work out to our favor because he became her husband. Wow. So yeah, that was a blessing in itself. Wow. But at that time it was difficult for me.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's awesome to hear that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So how did you pray for your marriage and your children?
Lord, get me through this day. Simple and to the point. Lord, get me through this day.
Yeah.
At night, thank you, Lord, for getting me through this day.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever reach a point in your marriage or with raising your children where you said, I can't do this anymore?
I didn't say I can't do it. It's like, Lord, you have to help me get through this. you know, Lord, it's becoming difficult. Lord, it's becoming hard. How do I get through this? More so than just throwing in the towel. You know, it really was just, Lord, help me.
Yeah.
You know, help me. That's where I was. Lord,
Yeah.
help me.
Yeah.
I totally had to depend on the Lord. I felt like I was in isolation. It was like the Lord kept me in isolation after I got saved. I remember saying to the Lord, well, who are my friends? Who's going to be my friends now? You know, because I knew my friends, I had to walk away because we were told in two different worlds.
Right.
And I felt isolated. And with the kids, it was just the kids, myself, and the Lord. You know, and that's where it was. That's where it was for me.
And would you say that was for your entire 16 years of being?
Oh, no, not my entire 16 years,
Okay.
but a great portion of it.
Great
I would
portion.
say definitely the first 6 to 7 years of having the kids in the home. And just understanding my role and finding out who I was in the Lord and things that I had to die to in myself. You know, just I found out so much about myself that I didn't know. You know, the Lord just really showed me. And I had, some of it was good, some of it wasn't. So I had to deal with it, you know, in dealing with the kids, you know, so that's where I was. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember you said earlier about how conversations that you and Mr. Blanding had to have outside of the home, you would have in the driveway. So I thought, though, that was important that you said that because, you know, sometimes if we're not careful when we're speaking certain things around children, you know, it can traumatize them.
Definitely.
So what was your reason? What was you and Mr. Blanding's reasoning for doing that outside of them being there?
Number one, I didn't want them to know what was going on. So if there was a disagreement between the two of us, I just didn't want them to know, because a lot of times the conversations got heated. So I just did not want them to be exposed to that. So that was a thing that I had to learn when to approach my husband. Because early on, I would just approach him. It wasn't good. So I had to learn, you know, no, this is not going to work. I don't want this atmosphere, you know, in the house. So no, we have to talk outside of the home when it got really serious.
When it got really serious, yeah. So when would you say things got easier for you as a mom and as a wife?
Once the kids started growing up and kind of easing into the life, trying to think at what point was that. I said the first 5 to 7 years were tough. And I guess really when my daughter, I guess when she was in middle school, that's when I went back to work. So that's when I felt like I could go back to work. Things were easy. My oldest daughter was in college. One of my daughters had left the home. And my son had left. And I just didn't feel the weight. I just didn't feel that weight. And it was like a weight had lifted. You know, there was a type of calm that it came into my life. So that's when things started getting a little easier. Again, I was in tune and listening to the Lord more. You know, yeah, that helped.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, did I miss any children? How many children do you have again?
It was 5.
It was 5.
Right. Well, my youngest, he came like 5 years after my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay. So you have a son.
I have a son and daughter. Rob and I have a son and daughter together.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Now, when it became easier for you, how was it as far as now seeing that your children are older? They're either adults or becoming adults. Was it easy to kind of let them go?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I was telling someone the other day that I was talking to. I enjoy my adult children. I really enjoy them. And it's funny because with my son, I'm sitting back and watching him be a dad, saying some of the things that I said to him, his son giving him a fit. So I'm just sitting right back. And so I do enjoy their company. You know, we just have adult conversations. You know, I go over to their homes. You know, it's just a whole different. Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it. I love this phase of my life. I love it.
Okay. So now being retired, now we're going to talk about more current day. Now being retired, do you still face challenges in your marriage or with your adult children?
Sure. With my adult children, more so my son.
Okay.
He's the one. With his children, you know, helping him get through with his children. Because he's realizing as a dad, wow, kids don't want to listen. But I have to remind him, neither did you. So, so that reality has showed up in his life, and he's getting through it, praise God. You know, I mean, I cover them all in prayer, Rob and I. And, you know, with Rob and I, you know, things have gotten so much better. You know, we enjoy each other. You know, challenges, I mean, very few. You know, they may come up. I'm trying to think. Nothing I can think of offhand, but they are there. But just not to the extreme, like they were 20 years ago. You know, it's just not extreme.
Would you say that, I mean, at this point now, you're able to more quickly just
Oh my
get over
goodness,
things?
yes. Oh, get over it real quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's no longer days, weeks. No, you know, we just get over it, you know, and it's like, you know, we can approach each other now. We talk to each other, you know what I'm saying? So that door is open. So we're just free to come, okay, this happened, I wasn't in agreement, didn't like how this went, or, you know, I need to talk to you about this. So it's, you know, coming from a whole different spirit.
Yes. I love that. Yes. What do you love most about your marriage in this season, and what do you love most about being a parent of adult children? You kind of hit on that a little bit, but you can expound more if you're able.
Again, what I like most about this season with my husband and I is like the friendship is there, you know, without the pressure of the marriage and the kids, kind of. It's like, you know, we're friends, you know, and we have more in common than we thought, because when we first started off, it was like, wow, I didn't know you thought like that, you know. That was totally strange to me, because once the honeymoon was over and your true selves show up, we're both like, well, who are you? You know? And had to learn who one another was. But now at this stage, we know who each other are. And we just gel. You know, there's still the differences, but we've learned how to gel. We learned how to overcome them and still go on and enjoy one another.
And as far as your adult children go?
Again, you know, enjoy them. They're really good. I mean, they're good parents. They're really good parents. They take care of their own. You know, very little interaction that I have to do with them in reference to their children. Other than my son, you know, I'm more involved in his life. But I heard the other day, this gentleman said, he said, how did he put that? He said, raising good children can cause you to spoil your grandchildren. Spoiling your children will cause you to raise your grandchildren. I thought that was profound. I was like, wow, because it was so, you know, I just fully understood. Like I said, my son spoiled. Oh my goodness. Worst thing you could do to a child is spoil them. And until, you know, they learn who they are, and, you know, and he has given his life to the Lord, you know, and I thank the Lord for that. And he's a deacon in the church, you know, but he still deals with the challenges of raising his kids and finding out who he is. But the rest of them, they've done an excellent job, I say. You know, raising their children, being productive parents. They're very good parents.
Wow.
They're very good parents. So I'm blessed in
That's
that.
a blessing.
I'm telling you, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
When I have, as being a school secretary, I had so many grandmothers coming in, registering their children, their grandchildren. Mom's nowhere to be found. Mom's not capable.
Right.
I mean, I saw a lot of those stories. So I know I'm truly blessed that I didn't have to raise any of my grandchildren. I've just been a grandmother to them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how we get along. You know, it wasn't that I had to take on that, you know, because they weren't capable or able to. So I credit all that to the Lord. You know, just a foundation that was put in their lives. And like I said, we all grew up together. But thank you, Lord, for coming into my life 5 months after I got married.
Yes.
Because if it had not been for the Lord on my side, I don't know what story I would be telling you today.
Wow.
So all praise, all grace given to the Lord.
Wow.
Definitely, He brought me through this journey.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was just thinking about those grandparents you mentioned that are raising their grandchildren. And I'm thinking, wow, some of them haven't had a break from raising their children.
That's right. So true.
So this, it just continues.
It just continues, yes.
Wow.
So true.
Wow.
Yeah, so true.
I want you to tell again, how many grandchildren do you have and how many great-grandchildren?
I have 15 grandchildren and 1 great-grand.
Wow.
So it's 16 of them all together.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a blessing.
It is.
Talk about how you all spend time together as a family.
Christmas holidays. It's since there's so many of us, kind of broke down now in different sections. Yeah, but when they were all young, you know, we all was in one house when they were all kids, but everybody's bigger than me, and you know, and they have friends, and so we get together occasionally, you know, cookouts. You know, someone's getting married, someone's graduating, high school, college. You know, so that's how we kind of get together.
Yeah. I always see pictures of you guys, whether you or Mr. Blanding post them on Facebook. And it's beautiful to see just how connected you all just seem to be, at least. And I'm sure you guys are as a family, because that's so important.
It is.
Especially as a big family. That's very important. I want you to fill in the blank. As it pertains to your growth throughout the years, I am most proud of myself in the area of
understanding. Had a difficult time with that, because not understanding where people were, and like, why are you there? And you know, with the kids, why are you doing this? And so I'm more understanding of situations and people today. So I know that's an area that I have grown in.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I want you to share any advice that you may have for moms, for wives that are in blended families, or just wives and moms in general. Just share from your heart any encouragement or wisdom you have for them.
What I will say to the moms is, you have to get to a place where you can enjoy the journey. And that's a hard place to get, because looking back, I didn't enjoy the journey as much as I should have. Because I was working, you know, I had myself in a work mode, you know, I have to do this. It has to be this way. I was strict, you know, things just had to go my way. And that can bring frustration. I didn't really just totally relax in being that parent that I needed to be, you know, until years down the line. So that's why now it's so enjoyable to me, you know, with adults. And, you know, with the grandchildren, totally different dynamic. I see them totally different. Totally different than my kids. Even though they're doing some of the same things, but I'm understanding now. I can help their parents. Well, this is where they are. Have to be patient with them, you know, things like that. But with them, it was on the job training. So, you know, I was learning as I went. So to look back, hindsight, you know, sure, I can say, oh, wow. But that's what I would say to moms, just learn to enjoy the journey, because it goes quickly. You don't think so, but it really goes quickly. And to the wives, I would say, just find out who you are. Find out who you are, so you can minister to your husband. find out who you are. And finding out who you are helps you understand who they are. It just helps you, because when you're open to yourself and like, okay, Lord, show me the good, the bad, and the ugly, then you can accept more of what you see from your spouse, and be more understanding and more patient towards them.
That's good. That's good. I love that. Before we end, do you, I'm just remembering something from a previous conversation. Do you and Mr. Blanding babysit your grandchildren?
Not really. We're not rocking chair grandparents. Now, if they need us, we're there. But again, they were good parents. They pretty much took care of their kids. My daughter, her kids were kind of always around. My son, but with my other two daughters, they had their mothers. So, she would babysit their kids. But as a general rule, we're on-the-go grandparents, so we're not rocking chair grandparents.
Yes. I remembered that from a previous conversation, and that's, again, just a testament to your children being great parents.
Yes, truly, truly.
Because they're able to just be to them what they need, and so... Like, okay, y'all got it.
Y'all got it. Y'all good. Now, my life has changed for the last 2 years because my mom has come to live with us. So I'm a caregiver to her. So that's a whole different dynamic now, taking care of her. Taking care of her. And it's like, she's gone back into her childhood. She's dealing with Alzheimer's. And that's totally different. She's in a frail state and very childlike. And it reminds me of like a 3 or 4 year old. She like follows me around the house and, just making sure I'm there, making sure I didn't leave her. So that's something Robin and I are adjusting to at this time. So she's been with us since 2020.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And I know we said we were about to end, but that just sparked a question. Okay. How do you balance? You're not as hands-on with your children anymore, but how do you balance still being a mom, a grandmom, a great grandmom, and then caring for your mom?
Yeah. Like I said, the children free me up because they're great parents. So with my mom, I have a lady that comes in to help me by the name of Miss Barbara, which is a godsend. And she comes in, I'll call her, she'll come and sit with my mom. That way Rob and I can get out. My siblings, on the weekend, they'll get her, to give us a break. So that's how we're adjusting to that. Okay. That's how that's how we had to, what we have to do now with her there, So she's part of our lives that now we have to rearrange our lives around her. Right. Whereas one time we were totally free, just whatever. We want, we can get up and go. Hey, let's go away for the weekend. Let's do this. Let's do that. Right. Now we have to factor in my mom, to care for her before we can make those decisions. So that's how things have changed.
Yeah. How old is your mom again?
She's 90. She just turned 90 last month, July the 8th. Yes, truly.
What a blessing. Truly. And I want you to share with us the ages of your children, your adult children.
Let me find out. 52, 48, 49, she'll be 50. 48, Teresa's 42, and 36.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. Okay. Well, you look good.
Well, praise God.
And Mr. Blanding does too. Okay.
Praise God. Living in a promise. Really Psalms 103. Living in a promise. Having my youth renewed.
I know that's
as
right.
the eagle. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you honoring your mom. The Bible says our days will be extended. So I just speak blessings and long life over you and Mr. Blanding.
Thank you.
But thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
For being
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So I know people are going to be blessed, and I pray that you received much encouragement, much wisdom from this episode today with Mrs. Blanding and all that she shared. And be sure to hit like, be sure to share this episode, and leave a comment in the comment section just letting us know something that stood out for you today. So thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, everyone, be blessed.